talking with the experts.
Welcome to episode 268 with Georgia Reynolds.
So in a team environment, which I find to be really magical, it's really about setting the stage for conversation, setting the stage for everybody acknowledging that maybe how we're working isn't working. So if we can set that stage, you can start to have a really frank conversation where you're considering the needs of the individuals, the needs of the team, and the needs of the business. And that's often a struggle, is the business needs and the people needs, and how do you close that gap? And so, there are a ton of different personality styles, a ton of different structures, a ton of different history combinations when you get to a team. So I can't say that there is this, we do step 1, step 2, step 3, because it really depends on where the team is. Is it a team of 2 or is it a team of 22? How that conversation might go.
Are you a non-techie, introverted author, speaker, coach, consultant, or entrepreneur wanting to make an impact through podcasting? In 30 days working one-on-one with you, I can show you how to build authority and credibility for your business. I'm inviting you to shift your thoughts about podcasting and allow yourself to expand into the next level of your life and business by joining the Podcast Wizard 30-day program as I help you take your podcast from idea to launch. Find it at rose-davidson.com under the Work With Me tab.
Welcome to Talking with the Experts. This is where we discuss great ideas to take your business to the next level. How do we know these ideas work? Well, it's because we're talking with business owners who are using these ideas. Business owners who have years of experience and expertise. All things business by business owners for business owners. And now, here is your host, Rose Davidson.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. My name is Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners, and you can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. And it's my very great pleasure to introduce you to Georgia Reynolds, who is my guest today. And we're going to be talking about life-work balance. And it's an individual thing, how you manage your time and your life, your work balance. Some people prefer a lot of life and some people prefer a lot of work. So, it's up to you. But you need to find that fine line between the two so that you can actually have some time to yourself. So what Georgia proposes is integrating work as part of your whole life. And this will remove a ton of pressure to work the way that someone else does, and the social expectations that is expected of us. Less pressure leads to more creativity, more energy, more freedom to actually get the work done and live the other parts of your life too. Welcome, Georgia, and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. And thank you for that introduction. You explained it perfectly. You
were a hairdresser for some years, and so you went from being a hairdresser to nurturing leaders at the top of their career, and you've spent 26 years working with people who have entrusted you with their most personal and expressive and vulnerable moments. So how did you go from being a hairdresser to doing what you do now, and where did you find the balance in between?
This is the favorite part of talking about what I do, because for me, how I went from hairdresser to trainer to working with small businesses is a textbook example of finding out how to integrate both your time, your skills, your finances, really just putting them together in a way that makes sense for you, as opposed to following the path and expectations that others give you. So I started as a hairdresser. I loved being a hairdresser. I still love the hairdressing industry. When I had my daughter, I was offered a position as a corporate trainer with a hair color brand. And so that seems like the perfect, speaking of balance, as a hairdresser, you typically work a lot, and there's, one fault to a hairdresser is that they say yes at the expense of themselves. So I thought it was perfect. I'm going to go have a corporate job. And when I have a corporate job, I'm going to work 9 till 5, and I'm going to have a ton of time for my child. Yes, I can see your face. And, it was like that maybe it wasn't like that when I started because there was so much new. And then I thought, okay, I've got this figured out. It was about that, like for a minute. And then you realize that it's actually me that's saying yes. And so, something here, will you do this project? Will you do this class? Will you go here to do training? And I said, yes, 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 yes. Thinking that I didn't have a choice, actually. Mostly thinking I didn't have a choice. And then also thinking, oh, this is cool, they want me. Oh, this is cool, they want me. So those two things took up a lot of time. And I started working 50, 55 hours a week. And sometimes that's not even including travel. Near the end of my corporate career, I started to work on a project called Empathy at Work. And this was kind of the epitome, because I realized that I wasn't behaving empathetic with myself. I was starting to be judgmental of others, which is also a block to empathy. And I started to look at the small businesses I was actually working with completely different. And I suddenly realized that as a corporate representative, I was really trying to impose a model that didn't meet their expectations or didn't meet their needs, didn't meet their success measures. And the more I noticed that, the more conflicted I got, and the more I actually worked and to try and fix it. And then one day I was like, literally one day, I'm done. And I left my corporate position, and I actually went back to hairdressing as a sabbatical. So I worked behind the chair again for a year, and I really got connected back to myself. And really, I can say yes, I can say no. But this little nagging thing of that gap between what a corporate measure of success is and what a small business measure of success was just kept going over and over in my mind. And so the pandemic came, and it was even more, and then I had so much more time to talk to people. And so really, as we're opening back up this last year, the conversations I've been having have been, every time I hear that, oh, I need more balance in my life, I just instantly start saying, well, what does that look like for you? What does that mean? Does that mean you and I started, for me, it's a morning person at 7:30 in the morning where I am in Canada. And that's my ideal time. If I could work, 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then have free time the rest, I would be in heaven. Sleeping in is stressful for me. So instead of putting the expectation of, oh, if you work early in the morning, that's too much, or if you work late at night, that's too much, really thinking of how do you make it work? And then my real sweet spot is, how do you make it work individually in a team?
Yeah, it's really important. I worked for a government agency, a law enforcement agency some years ago, and I was always saying yes to jobs. Go and search this ship, go and search this container, go into the mail and do this, and and it didn't really get me anywhere, because they were taking advantage, and that's what happens. And I was always a yes person, even after I left that position, even in other roles. I'd take on more and more and more, and to the detriment of my family, because I was never home. And so I can really empathize with how you were feeling, and the situation that you found yourself in. And you've got to say to yourself one day, enough's enough. Where's the rest of the world? Where's my life? It's gone. You spend all these years working in corporate, and you've not really achieved a lot. In as far as life is concerned, you may have achieved a lot in your job, but you've missed out your kids growing up, you've missed family dinners, you've missed family occasions. So it is really important to think of yourself before you think of the corporate.
And even more specifically, I think the nuance is not as much balance, boundaries, or thinking of yourself first, thinking of yourself as part of a whole.
Mm.
And so how I would describe that is when we think of ourselves first, our next action is often to put a hard no. And so we don't want an easy yes, and we don't want a hard no. We actually want to live and work in that place in the middle. So put yourself as well as the language that I use is let's put yourself in as well, as opposed to put yourself in first.
Okay,
Because first automatically creates a block.
Very true. Yes, very true. And not only a block to the communication side of things, but a block to, how people view you. And it's really important, as much as people say they don't care what other people think, it's really important that you get along with everyone and how others view you, whether it's most often it's behind your back is how they view you. They won't be nasty to your face.
Yeah. And as stereotypes exist for a reason. So as a woman, it also doesn't feel nice to say, I want to put myself first. It feels uncomfortable as a mom. It feels uncomfortable as an employee. It feels uncomfortable as a partner. It feels really uncomfortable to say that. It feels more comfortable for me to say, I want to put myself in as well.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I hadn't thought of those words before, and they're really great. I think they are good. So you offer solutions, obviously, to small business, and so they don't, can't even think of the word I'm trying to say now. Do the put myself first, and but include yourself first, or include yourself into the situation. How can people stop the struggle between putting myself first and including myself?
So in a team environment, which I find to be really magical, it's really about setting the stage for conversation, setting the stage for everybody acknowledging that maybe how we're working isn't working. So if we can set that stage, you can start to have a really frank conversation where you're considering the needs of the individuals, the needs of the team, and the needs of the business. And that's often a struggle, is the business needs and the people needs, and how do you close that gap? And so, there are a ton of different personality styles, a ton of different structures, a ton of different history combinations when you get to a team. So I can't say that there is this, we do step 1, step 2, step 3, because it really depends on where the team is. Is it a team of 2 or is it a team of 22? How that conversation might go. But the beginning is to set the expectation that everybody wants to work differently. That would be the step 1. Step 2 would be everybody putting in their hat, basically. I really would love to work this way. I would really love to work this way, without individual negotiation. Just put it all in there and let's see what common ground come out. And then once we put everything in there, we can start taking it apart. What needs to be changed systematically? What needs to be changed individually? So that you're separating those system things. Those are the business things. Those are the things that are they're a little bit flexible, but those are things that we're going to be repeatable. The individual things are, we really say, okay, you know what? Rose likes to work at night. So when I get an email from her at 11 o'clock at night, I'm not going to answer it. I'm not going to be worried about it. Rose doesn't even expect me to answer it. Just like kind of putting that all out there. And Rose knows that she's going to get a response from me at 6:30 the next morning. And she's not going to be worried about it either, because we have created the path that this is how you work. And I trust that you're going to get the work done. And this is how I work. And you trust that I'm going to get the work done. And sort of build in those little understandings, little like bit by bit.
Yeah, that's when I do my best work, is at night. And, you can find me quite often sending someone a Facebook message or an email like about 1 o'clock in the morning. And then I say, oh my God, they're going to freak out.
Yeah. And so
especially if it's a
just being able,
Facebook message. And I just don't think, because to me, that's my normal work hours.
exactly.
So I don't think of it as being rude or anything. I just think it's my normal work hours, and people now have come to know that if I'm communicating at that time of the day, that it's just normal part of how I do business. So but in the beginning it was a bit, I think, a bit off-putting for them, because it was, they get emails at strange times of the day rather than, in normal business hours. But I don't work normal business hours, so it just doesn't suit me. I'm not a day person, I'm a night person. So
and you're bringing up a really great point, the word normal. Like, especially now, what is normal?
yeah,
What is
normal?
normal? So that's something that is really important to bring up, saying, these are the hours I work. And one of the strategies for yourself, if you're an individual and you want to start integrating that life and work together, is to those little tiny language things. I've already brought up one, but those little tiny language things. So right off the bat, saying, I want you to know that my best thinking time or working time is from here to here. So if you get an email from me, then if I don't respond until late at night and you don't get it till the next morning, know that that's when you're going to get my best work. And so putting it out front helps you keep those little squirrels in check from, oh, I wonder if they think I'm crazy. I wonder if they think I'm working too late. I wonder if they think I'm behind, because you're just putting it out front and you're letting them know, this is how you're going to get my best work. And then following up with, how am I going to get your best work? When do I expect to hear from you? And just kind of put it out there. And there's going to be times when you're both or all might have to work outside of their best times. But if you're mostly working in your best times, you're not going to mind.
No, not at all. Now, I do have a question for you. Now, there are some naysayers that say there is no such thing as a work-life balance. It's either work-life or it's just life. There's no life or work balance. It's just life. What do you have to say about that?
I kind of agree with them. Work is part of your life, and at different phases in your life, you're really excited about something, and maybe you do work more than not, but you're loving it and you're excited by it. So who's to say you're working too much? And then there's other times in your life where, you're working less, or you're not engaged in your work, or, it's not exciting, or other priorities are trumping work. And so for me, it's a bit more of a flow. And that's why I love the word integration, because I'm integrating work into my whole life. And sometimes that means integrating the other parts of my life into work, like having an extended lunch date with a friend during work hours because you haven't been able to find another time. You take a 90-minute lunch break instead of a 45-minute lunch break, and you find that time somewhere else, and you just kind of focus on getting the work you want done, the other activities that you want to get done, and how can they fit together in a way that matches you and meets all your needs. And I do always highlight meets the needs of those in your team, whether that's a family team or a work team, or that's the putting me in as well, as opposed to me first, because me first has the implication that despite you, I'm taking care of me. And I like to build that energy of, let's all build energy together.
Really great advice. I like that advice. It's as you say, women feel guilty for saying, I want to go first, or I want to do this for me, or which to everyone else sounds really selfish, when in fact it's not the woman being selfish. It's just the fact that she needs to take time out from her schedule just to pay attention to her and her needs, and what she needs to do to regenerate herself. And men are the same. They go and play golf, or they go to the pub, or they, whatever they do, they've got to have that time too, to themselves, but it seems to be society accepts it a bit more when a man steps away from his place of work to do life things. With women, it's not so acceptable.
Yeah, it's true. I do think it's a bit self-imposed now. I think there was a time when it was imposed on us. And I think we're come to a point now where it's a bit self-imposed out of habit.
Yeah, quite true.
It's
Quite true.
normal. It's normal. It's
normal, whatever normal is. Whatever's normal for me is not normal for you.
Exactly. You got me.
I don't even know where the word normal fits into any vocabulary at all. I've always been classed as not being a normal person. So, because I'm always outside the box. And so, so what is normal? What's normal for me is not normal for somebody else, that's for sure. I think it's a bad word. I think it should be struck off the dictionary.
I try not to use it, but you see it slips out because it's such a staple in our vocabulary.
It is. It absolutely is. It is. Georgia, have you written any books about this topic? Because it'd be fascinating to be able to read your thoughts on what you have spoken about today.
I have not written any books. It's something that might happen someday. The reason I kind of look around for podcasts because I'm definitely more of a talker than a writer. So if I was ever to write a book, it probably would have to be dictated.
Yeah. No, I've actually got a friend in Canada. She lives in Ontario, I think. She teaches people how to do audio books.
Okay.
I had her on recently. She's actually an actress. Her name escapes me at the moment, but it's quite embarrassing. But Jennifer Lieberman. Lieberman. I don't know if you've heard of her, but yeah, she is teaching people how to do audio books so that they can get their
Well, I
books
might have to listen to that episode.
Yeah, no, she's amazing, absolutely. So yeah, I can I'll send you a message with her details if you like.
I would love that. I would love that.
And that way you can talk your book. It's the same as Jennifer. She was the same. She's a talker too. She's not a writer. So yeah. She decided that during lockdown that she'd build a studio in her closet and record her book.
I love it.
She was amazing. Yeah. Anyway, people can find you at georgiareynolds.ca. They can find you on LinkedIn. Where else can they find you?
I do use other social media platforms, but they're really few and far between as far as being out there. So Instagram, you can find me on Instagram, but you're just going to find pictures of flowers that I like. You're just going to find, pictures of my family. So LinkedIn and my website are the best places to find out more about me professionally.
Perfect. Have you got any words of wisdom that you'd like to share today? It doesn't have to be on your topic, it can be on anything.
Oh, you know what? I'm so obsessed with this topic of integration now that I think I'll stick with that. And if I was to give any words of wisdom, what I've already said is try playing with that phrase. I'm going to put myself in as well and see if it lands differently. But maybe take a log of your day. Take a log of your day and see how much of your day is enjoyable and how much of your day is a drag. And that can be a really great place to check in on how your life is integrated together. If it's a lot of drag, then there's probably things that you could rearrange.
Great. That is absolutely wonderful advice. Yeah, I find myself sometimes doing stuff that I think, I've committed myself to, but I'm not really happy doing it. But, podcasting isn't one of them, but I love my podcast.
Yeah. I can tell when I was looking to see who was out there, you definitely rose to the top as far as energy, which is why I reached out. So
I just like I don't know, I just like doing it. I like meeting the people and some of them I've become quite good friends with over the time. So yeah, it's a pleasurable activity for me, and I love it. Excellent. Even if it's at stupid o'clock at night.
Ah,
Georgia, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you. I hope that I can speak with you again later on in the year or coming towards
yeah,
next year. I would love that. I'd love to find out what you've been up to and and how you've progressed on in your business. It'd be wonderful.
that sounds great. Thank
Terrific.
you.
Georgia, thanks so much. And I'll talk to you again very soon.
All right. Talk to you soon. Thank you.
Bye.
You've been listening to Talking with the Experts, hosted by Rose Davidson. Make sure you have a look at our back catalogue over at talkingwiththeexperts.com. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. We look forward to your company next time. Talking with the Experts.